The concept of hitting the water right, at the right time of year, on the right day, at the right time of day, is central to fly fishing, and it's one of the more important elements of fishing in the high mountains. Being on the water at that cosmic moment when the fishing is at its best is a hard enough thing to schedule on the famous lowland rivers, where you can check a hatch chart or call the local fly shop and ask if the green drakes are on yet. On a mountain lake or a string of beaver ponds, that kind of intelligence usually doesn't exist for two reasons. It's probably not fished enough for that kind of information to have been compiled, which is one of the reasons why you're going there, and chances are conditions change so much on a daily to yearly basis that events of interest to fly fishermen don't happen on anything like a regular schedule. For instance, there's a mountain lake not far from here that's well known for its speckled dunhatch, but it is also well known that, although the hatch only seems to last for a week or so, it can begin at any time within about a 10-week period. I've managed to hit it twice in 5 years, only because other people have stumbled on it and told me about it. Another problem is that the seasons are all out of proportion. At the highest fishable altitudes, spring, summer, and fall can pass in 10 or 12 weeks, even less in a bad season, and the rest of the year, 40 or 42 weeks of it, is for all practical purposes the off-season. It's always amazed me that trout and grayling can even survive under those conditions, let alone grow to good size, but in the right kind of water, they can do it. Of course, it's not all that rugged. The fishing season lasts longer at the lower altitudes, and in some of the areas that one calls the foothills and another calls mountains, it can be nearly as long as it is out on the flatlands. Moving uphill in the mountains is like moving north on the globe. In the real high country, what passes for summer puts in only a brief appearance, the way it does, say, up around the Arctic Circle. There will also be those years when winter stays late and returns early. But altitude and the severity of the weather aren't the only variables. A lake or a pond that lies in the shade of a deep canyon, for instance, will probably stay frozen longer than one at the same altitude that lies out in an open meadow, and snow and ice will stay longer on a north-facing slope than on a south-facing one. A day will also be shorter on a piece of water that lies in the shade of a mountain slope on one side or the walls of a canyon on both sides. Midday remains about the same, but morning and evening can take on new meanings, and it's not unusual for trout in a high lake to wait until the sun hits the water to start feeding and stop the minute it's off, though that's certainly not always the case.